If you can take power of your language, of your words, and use them not in the way that you have to like let go of everything you've learned to be able to do this, because then you have to like create new language. You have to create with intention. And when you talk with intention, it gives new meaning to the words.
But the reality is, like, I conspire every day of my life to be a better human, right? So am I a conspiracy theorist when I like look at my own life and look at the history of it and like I made a plan to do that thing and then I did it? You know, it's like that's actually what conspiracy is, right? Yeah. It's kind of bizarre that we have this weird idea. Like, as it goes with most things, most people don't even define the words they use, right? Most people don't even they don't think like Socrates, unfortunately, right? Because Socrates spent a lot of time defining words. He wanted to ask you, what do you mean by that word? What's your actual definition? Because a lot of times your definition and mine are completely different. So how are we talking about the same thing at all? We're literally not, you know? And it's just like, again, people don't want to spend a lot of time thinking about their thought. They don't want to think about their thinking. They don't want to think about their bias. They don't want to think about like, maybe they want to believe something. It's called a crony belief, right? They get a benefit from believing this thing because somebody else believes it, or their social group believes it, or their family believes it, right? There's all these things that infect human psychology. And this is why, again, for me, like when I studied evolutionary psychology and biology, mostly on accident, because I went to nutrition, then I like started understanding human nature. And I'm like, holy shit. Like that was just like, actually, that was probably the red pill moment. It was like, human beings we're like these evolved apes and we think we know so much and we don't, you know?
It's when you accept that you don't know enough or in anything, that's when you start to actually grow, because then you actually start to take in new information. You just hit the nail on the head, man. I've just had an interview with Santos Bonacci. I don't know if you know who that is. He's a philosopher. He basically made his life around the philosophy of syncretism, which is like just like the connection of everything. But we talked about
like synchronicity.
Yeah, like synchronicity, you know, serendipitous, being serendipitous, just like what the connection of everything. And he said that where it all stems from is language, is the defining of language, is how we use language, the delivery of language, like all these layers to it. And that is basically, if you can take power of your language, of your words, and use them not in the way that you have to like let go of everything you've learned to be able to do this, because then you have to like create new language. You have to create with intention. And when you talk with intention, it gives new meaning to the words. And I mean, there's a whole conversation around, but yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with that. That's what it is. And as soon as we can become aware of those words and how they're being used, you know, and that goes into like everything that's happening right now with what's legal or illegal, you know, the legalese in the paperwork. We hear mandates and we think, oh, that's a law. And it's like, is it? Or is it just a policy with a different word?
Well, you know, some things that were laws in America discriminated against people of different skin color. So like
it was legal to own slaves at one time. So what's legal and what's right aren't necessarily the same thing.
No, they never are, because laws are created by men. Men are infallible. Therefore, laws are infallible. It just is what it is. This is opening a good topic that we could probably explore. First principles thinking, which I'm huge on, right? You have to get down to natural law. You have to get down to what are the principles that you can build on top of. Most people reason from analogy, as Musk likes to talk about this. It's what is already around them. They accept this as a given truth. They don't ever go below the surface. They don't ever look behind the Wizard of Oz behind the thing, pulling the levers or whatever. They have no idea how the sausage is made. They just accept that the sausage is there and somebody says it's this or that or whatever. And then they literally use that as their foundation. It's kind of bizarre, actually, that more people just aren't actually interested in finding truth. There's not a lot of truth seekers amongst humanity. There just aren't. And it seems like most of the revolutionaries, the iconoclasts, those that propel society forward, are always ostracized and condemned during their time. And only later are they celebrated.
Oh, that's interesting.
Almost all of them.
And it's interesting because it's almost like, because they are celebrated later.
Yep.
And it's interesting because it's like, oh, is that in and of itself a manipulation to praise the ones that were actually revolutionaries, but then embedded into a distorted ideology. You just blew my mind a little bit there.
Yep.